didn't go to because I was at a basketball camp. So they were at this church camp, and then my brother walks in, and they like were kind of like biting a little bit like with their words, and my brother's like, "What are y'all talking about?" And they were like, "Oh, your sister." And then he was like, "Oh," and then okay, so they were just talking about me, and then Ryan like said Jack said I was hot, and then Rafe like punched him and attacked him apparently because he got mad because like Ryan knew that Jake liked me. Jake, what the heck? Ryan knew. No.
Visible marks on him. They took me to jail. So the police officer told me to take off all my clothes and to only wear one layer and to also take out my shoelaces before he brought me in. So they booked me in jail, put me in a freezing cold fucking cell with 25 other actual bad bitches for 7 hours. And this is the best part. My ex kept trying to call and get me out the whole time I was in there, saying that he lied and everything. They set a court date for me, but when I showed up, they literally just dropped all the charges. Now I just tell everybody that I've been inside of trash cans and shit that didn't need to be cleaned. And then it started getting creepy. Not weird, creepy. She put a paper towel over the drains because the voices were too loud. And then she would walk around the pod talking about death and carnage. And if you don't know what carnage means, it pretty much just means unaliving a lot of people. So this was super bad vibes, obviously. Now when you're in jail, of course people are going to ask what you're doing time for. And if you don't say, you're gonna come off as sketchy. So we're asking this girl, hey, what are you in for? And she would not give us a straight answer. I asked him about it, and he said, oh, it was her and her boyfriend's party. So I was like, that wasn't really an excuse for why you didn't invite me. So he apologized and I forgave him. Well, 5 weeks later, I found out that him and her did the nasty and she got pregnant. And then there was a rumor going around that they made out in the bathroom. So I blocked both of them and never saw them again. Story time about how my ex-boyfriend accused me of cheating on an all-girls trip. So a little background information, I was 14 or 15 around the time, and it was the summer of my freshman year.
Oh, to her beach house though, I'd always get invited, and this time she insisted that it's just strictly family. So I decided I'll just take myself to Target and have like a self-care pampering night. And when I was at Target, I heard my name being called from somebody behind me. It was her mom and little brother. Then she asked me, wait, why aren't you at the beach house with my best friend? Then I flipped a Uno reverse. Well, why aren't you at the beach house with my best friend? When I tell you guys how bad my stomach dropped.
In it, so I'm like, oh, like this is Stacy. Why do I not follow this? So I follow it because that's just what friends do. Because I thought, oh, she probably just created it and like that's why I didn't know about it. So I request to follow it, and then a couple days later, I'm like, oh, like I still don't see the acceptance. But I was like, oh, like, when did you create this? Just like, you know, because it had like a really funny profile picture. In fact, I think I was in the background of it. So I had sent it to her and I was like, oh, like, when did you create this? And a girlie leaves me on the liver. I'm not even kidding you. 3 days. He had it.
He literally belonged to like this nice ass country club. Like I literally did not even know him at all. I just like liked his house, but I would always get like, even when I was like 2, like I would literally cry because I had anxiety there. Because I sensed it. He, like, didn't know I was born for the first, like, 3 years of my life. So he had this, like, wife. I don't even know why they were married because they literally hated each other's guts. Like, they would just scream at each other all the time. And, like, he was literally, like, had a poop bag. And he would, like, feel like shit.
Find partners for this one project. Well, her boyfriend got paired up with this other girl. And anybody who would even talk to her boyfriend would get jumped by her and 8 of her friends. So his girlfriend starts being buddy-buddy with this girl. And his girlfriend goes, oh, do you want to come to the bathroom to hit my dab pen? So the girl says, yeah, thinking that she's being all nice and shit. So they both go to the bathroom and they're gone for like 25 minutes. So I asked to go to the bathroom because I want to see what's going on. So I walk into the auditorium bathroom and nobody's really around that bathroom. And this bitch is
Everyone is gonna die and no one is gonna remember you, so fuck it.
very hard to cut this friendship off. Well, anyways, fast forward, so her and I are friends, which also wasn't good because she was a very bad influence on me. For example, I didn't have a driver's license, but I had a car. So of course I would go pick her up and her and I would fuck shit up together, aka do bad things. Well, the one night I let her drive and she ended up going to my ex-boyfriend's house like for Part 2 about how my best friend got my house raided. So like I said, no license, but I had a car and I let her drive that night. And she went to my ex-boyfriend's house. Now,
and I'm like, okay, bet. So I go in the next day and I'm immediately like, can you explain, like, what do you mean someone caught on fire in the parking lot? There were two young men in the store and they were looking at the cologne, and I want you to keep in mind that any cologne that is out and about is fully used, okay? Like, it's being used by customers. So if you're taking a fragrance, like, you're taking a fragrance for yourself. So I know this wasn't a Christmas gift because these were two teenage boys stealing cologne. Boys take the fragrance, go to the back Kohl's store in order to, like, come with a plan to
Me, him, and Belle used to have a thing. What the heck do you mean you had a thing with other girls? And that she's been obsessed ever since. Honestly, I kinda found that weird of him to say, because isn't it a red flag? When a guy says a girl is obsessed with him, but her making that GC did seem as if she was obsessed, so I took his word for it. He apologized to me and said he hated to see me sad, and I died when he said, I'm sorry,
Just telling you how I remember it, and something along the lines of buying people like something, alcohol, I don't know, I'm not exactly sure because I was like not involved in that part. But a few months go by and I'm in a freshman year of high school, so it has been a hot minute since this guy had even seen me. And one of like this guys that I went to middle school with, he texted me on Snapchat and is like, did you know this teacher's following you? And I was like, what? No. Guys, if I knew this person was following me.
and he's like, yeah, that's definitely a hickey because he likes to kiss her ass. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my grandma almost got me grounded. So like I said, she's like, I'm telling your mom, and I keep telling her that it's not a hickey. And thankfully, my mom already went to work. She had work at 6 a.m. So I got on the bus, I go to school, and I'm talking to my friend and telling her about how I'm literally going to be crucified whenever I get home. And she told me about how her older sister was in like the same situation that I'm in now. So she texted her older sister asking what she did.
Count asked me for nudes. So I was confused because I was thinking it can't be her asking me that. Like, that's what? Like, at first I was suspecting it was her the whole time. But when I got that message, I was like, nah, that can't be her, because why would she ask me that? But that's when I really had to find out if it was her or not, because that was really weird. So then one day in PE class, I went into the changing rooms and I found her phone and I knew her
story, and I was just laughing until I got to the last thing that he posted on his story. It was this picture of a baby girl saying, I can't wait to meet you from Dada. So with my crazy ass, I jumped on the phone and started cussing him out. And then he goes, what are you talking about? That's my little sister. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how he cheated on his baby mama with me. So like I said, when I confronted him about it, he said that it was a picture of his baby sister. Always with the Alabama shit. For what reason, I don't know. But he calls me the next.
You know I'm the face of the city, bitch. That's why you mad.
My friend almost got kidnapped. So me and my friend went to go hang out with our friends at their house. We didn't have a ride from anybody, so we were like, okay, it's fine. Like, we'll just walk. Like, we don't mind the walk. Like, it was a long walk, but it wasn't that long. So we're walking. We're like maybe 15-20 minutes away at this point. All of a sudden, we're coming up to like this old senior citizen center where like all the older people stay when they don't have anywhere to go, or like they're just so old at that point they just need to be taken care of.
Her up, went on a date to get food and dropped her back off. I can use my context clues. So now I'm curious, gotta find out whose house is that. It's a girl I know he snaps and he's mentioned before. Has classes with. So now I'm undelivered for 5 hours. We're supposed to be hanging out. At this point, it is 11 p.m. I've been home. We could have been hanging out. It's 11 p.m. He texts me, is it still cool if I sleep over? Bitch, what?
never.
Get ready with me while I talk about things I got in trouble for with a really strict dad. So these are things that I think a child would not normally get in trouble for, but I guess we'll see. So starting off strong, I didn't get him or make him a birthday card when I was like 8 or 9. So me and my brother got sent to our rooms for the rest of the day. We tried to call our mom to tell her what happened, and then we got in trouble for that. The next thing I got in trouble for was...
Guys, she's literally dating him now. So you're welcome, I guess. But anyway, she still goes around talking shit on me. I mean, who can blame her? I did steal... Story time about how my best friend waxed off my eyebrow in my sleep, so I cut her hair. So a little background information. I was 14 and in 8th grade, and my best friends and I were having a sleepover. And right before we had went to sleep, we were all talking about this one TikTok trend that was going around. It's like this trend where girls would go and put wax on their boyfriends while they were sleeping and then take it off. Well, I didn't think anything
dramatic, and I'm like, bitch, can you stop giving me side eye? And this girl, she responds back, she's like, bitch, I'm not giving you side eye. I'm like, yes, you are. So we're going back and forth about this side eye, but I'm not getting anywhere. This girl is still in her seat, and I'm like, if I want this girl to throw a punch, it's gotta get a bit more serious. She had these multicolored braids that were blonde, pink, and purple, and I was like, bitch, be quiet with your Barbie dreams looking ass hair. And I literally thought I ate with that. So then eventually I'm like, come hit me, come hit me. And I moved to the UK in 2015. As soon as I got to this high school, there was a boy in my high school who was absolutely obsessed with me. He was in my year as well. Have some tea, okay? He was fake age. I wasn't feeling the same way. I was not into him. I was not attracted to him. I had no interest in him. Absolutely nothing whatsoever. For the whole of those 5 years, he never said a word to me, but he did everything else under the sun. I'm gonna tell you guys how it started. He told his friend to tell me that he had a crush on me.
best friend. So like I said, we were in chemistry. She walks in and she winks at Tommy. And I look over real quick and I realize that her nails were vermilion. That's Tommy's favorite color. And by the way, like I said before, I did not know this girl at all. We had never hung out. She never talked to me before this. Not to mention, anytime that her and I talked, she would only talk about Tommy. Fast forward a couple days, we're in chemistry, and somehow she got her assigned seat next to me. And she was like, hey, do you want to study for the chemistry test together?
Decided to move my seat at lunch so, I wouldn't have to deal with the BS at lunch of her, like, looking at me a certain type of way. And she moved her seat. Sorry, I was getting a little frustrated. She moved her seat at lunch to stare at me from another table directly in my face. Like, so since I can't do anything, I got some of my friends to help me out with this little too much on this side, but we're not gonna talk about it. But yeah.
It was bubble gum, so I had to chew it.
Taste me how to duck. Taste me how to duck.
Listening to people talking about mortgages and stuff about at like 19, thinking, girl, I'm trying to live at home for the rest of my life. But she's like really, really wanting to do this. So I said, okay, Pearl, I mean, I'll come because there's a vibe, but I'm not buying a house. She wasn't helping out, no. And I was like, no, she bought a ticket. We both bought tickets to go. So all those times you've been out, she's not been with you. And I was like, no, like we would usually do, because I didn't want to snitch on her and say, yeah, her mom and dad's.
Part 2 about how my boyfriend was hiding his 2-year relationship from me. So like I said, every day after that, him and I were pretty much inseparable. We would FaceTime literally 24/7. We would always sit together during lunch, during class. Well, the one day I'm sitting in my homeroom and he comes in and he asked me to be his girlfriend. Of course I said yes. So fast forward to Halloween, my family was handing out candy and he was going trick-or-treating with his family because he had younger siblings. And this is where our families were supposed to meet, but he didn't end up coming to my neighborhood, which I...
From Inglewood. So yeah, I didn't deserve to be in his car because I didn't believe in aliens.
Tell me about the worst date you've ever been on.
Right, I've turned up to a date once and the girl immediately started laughing at my trousers. She's like, oh my God, why didn't you just wear denims? We sat down at a table. She told me that I had dry skin and that at 5'8" I was too short. Even though she knew this beforehand.
Calling your dad. So what did I do? I left before they called him.
Story time about how my best friend and I used to get away with hanging out with boys.
So my friend and I's parents were really strict, which meant no hanging out with boys, not even if a parent was there. And we would always come up with these elaborate lies to do stuff that we weren't allowed to do. And we were in high school, so we really wanted to go hang out with one of our guy friends. So we came up with this plan where we would tell them that we were going to a football game.
That the guy that she likes just added me on Snapchat? Or do I lie to her? Well, I was going to tell her until I got a Snapchat from him, like for part 2.
Part 2 about how I was the toxic best friend.
So like I said, I didn't know whether I should tell her that he added me on Snapchat or if I should. And I was going to until I got a Snapchat from him saying, hey, you're really pretty. I think we should talk sometime. So I ended up telling her about it because I felt really bad. And she was like, this is why I can't trust girls. Like, you need to unadd him.
My ex at the time literally would tell people that we did that when we did not. I did not do that at that age. Literally have so many, but this video is already like 3 minutes long. So unfortunately, I have to cut this short. It was also like a joke that me and my best friend were gay for each other because literally we were like soulmates for like 15 years. I swear I have so many. Every single time I'd walk into school, I swear I'd be like, I did what now? It was definitely a wild time and did not help with my mental health at all, but you know, at least it was entertaining. My life was very entertaining for people in high school. And I think the biggest misconception is that
trying to be cool. In 8th grade, I was into like this kind of druggy kid, and in my like middle school, it was really cool to be like a vapor and like drink and all this stuff. So I snapped this guy and I sat next to my oil diffuser, like the one that like smokes, and I got just me and like the smoke vapor from the oil diffuser in the snap, and I said
friends, and I really don't think that's that much of a difference. Like, he would never want to be seen with me. The last sign, he would literally always talk about me behind my back. And I thought this was just rumors at first, until finally several people told me that it was not a rumor. He would say things like, oh, she's ugly, she's so immature, she's annoying and childish, she's so annoying. And then I finally decided to cut him off. Because if the bad outweighed the good, was it really worth keeping that person in my life? Story time. Is blood really thicker than water? Metaphorically speaking, of course. So a little background. Two kids herself, but both of them said that they would never date. Well, I thought her son Tyler was extremely good looking. So him and I started talking over Snapchat, and things were going good for quite a while. Well, I would say a few months later, my dad told us that Kayla was coming over with her kids. And I was super confused because he seemed really nervous about it. So her kids and I were all sitting on the sofa, and they sat us down and they were like, we need to talk to you guys. We're gonna call my dad Mike. She goes, Mike and I are dating now.
The judge yelled at my dad for that, and then he had to apologize to us, and because basically like he threatened us, and then like he got in trouble a little bit more for that, and like they did some other stuff that I don't really remember, but he wasn't allowed near us. He wasn't allowed to go to the bus stop anymore. He wasn't allowed near the school. If we were at the school, like it was traumatizing. Like, anyways, thank you guys so much for 700, almost 700,000. I love you guys, and that is part 2.
At the end of the day, I am simply just a girl. If you tell me I'm pretty, I'm gonna start getting flustered. I'm gonna blush a little bit. I'm gonna start kicking my feet. I'm like, oh my God, like, thank you so much. And she was like, no, like, you really are. She was like, your skin looks so good. And I was like, oh my God, like, thank you, girl. So at that point, I'm like, me and this girl are locked in. Like, you know, we were going back and forth. Like, I gave her a compliment back because she was pretty. Like, she was bad. I was like, okay, like, period, girl. Like, when a baddie compliments you, you take that thing and you run with it. Okay, you run with it.
I walked up to Lisa and her friends and I said, actually, I want to say something. And they said, no, we don't want to hear anything that comes out of your mouth. I just want to say that I don't agree with Sabrina talking about the way you look. I would never say something like that. So if you feel like I said that, I want to say sorry. All of a sudden, something changed on their faces. They were like, that's so sweet of you to say. But we were behaving rather childish, so we want to say sorry. They apologized to me?
Crazy bitch, and it's like a bunch of people outside and a bunch of people in his lobby. He's telling all these people in the lobby for no reason, this girl is crazy. Get her the F away from me. Because can I use one of y'all phones? He just came from the Apple store, but yet his phone was still broken. He couldn't make phone calls. I guess he didn't pay his bill. And so he needed somebody's phone to, you know, yeah. And nobody would give him the phone because I kept saying, don't give him the phone. Don't give him the phone. And then it was females that was there, and I was ready.
Does back to me. I was wondering why all these girls stopped being friends with her at a short amount of time. And I thought it was sad because I thought we were best friends, and how can you do that to your best friend or even a friend or to any girl? After seeing what she said to those girls and then sent me the same thing talking about, I love you, I will never do that to you, sent that to all of us, I was like, girl, like...
Watch fireworks for the 4th of July at this park, and most of the people there went to a completely different school. But we ended up meeting this group of guys, and I was really vibing with the one guy who was there. He was super cute, super chill, and we got along great. And I just want to put this out there. I did not think to ask that he had a girlfriend because he was being super flirtatious.
and just really wasn't acting like he had a girlfriend. I literally just hate how we have to ask people if they're in relationships now because they don't want to be honest or loyal. And then we would look like the bad guys because they were dishonest.
Okay, I go to Simon Says.
Simon Says, everyone stand still. Everyone start walking. Don't move, they didn't say Simon Says. Are you interested in women or men?
Timmy, tell the truth, because if you lie, you'll die.
Women! I'm interested in women, obviously. Why would I like men? Timmy, that was a lie. Babe, are you doing okay? I know you and Timmy were close.
Yeah, I'll be okay.
Brianna,